Have you ever felt invisible? Like you're speaking, but no one is listening? Or you're in a room full of people, but you feel completely alone? This feeling, this profound sense of being unseen and unheard, is often the daily reality for a child who is emotionally ignored. It's not about a lack of food or shelter, but a deeper, more invisible kind of neglect that can shape a person for a lifetime. Today, we're going to step into their world and explore the complex psychology of the ignored child. Emotional neglect is subtle. It's the absence of something crucial, a parent's emotional attunement and responsiveness. It's the parent who's physically present but emotionally distant, perhaps buried in their phone, overwhelmed by work, or struggling with their own unresolved issues. They might provide for all the child's physical needs, but they fail to notice the child's sadness, celebrate their joys, or validate their fears. The child's emotional world becomes a lonely landscape, and they learn a harsh, early lesson. My feelings don't matter. This consistent lack of emotional feedback creates a deep-seated feeling of emptiness. Imagine you're trying to build a puzzle, but you're missing half the pieces. That's what it's like for an ignored child trying to build their sense of self. They don't receive the mirroring they need from their caregivers to understand who they are. They look for a reflection in their parents' eyes but find a blank stare. This can lead to a fragile or diffuse sense of identity. They might feel like a chameleon, constantly changing to fit in, because they never developed a solid core of their own. They might ask themselves, "Who am I really?" and come up with a blank. One of the most significant impacts is on attachment. Humans are wired for connection. A child needs to know they have a secure base, a safe harbor they can return to. When a child's bids for connection, a cry, a smile, a story about their day, are consistently met with indifference, they learn that reaching out is pointless or even painful. This can lead to an insecure attachment style, often avoidant. They become fiercely independent, almost compulsively so. They build walls around their hearts, not to keep others out, but to protect themselves from the pain of being let down again. On the outside, they might look strong and self-sufficient, but on the inside, they are often lonely and yearn for the connection they never had. This self-reliance can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, these individuals can be incredibly resilient and capable. They learn from a young age that if something needs to be done, they have to do it themselves. They often excel in their careers and are seen as the responsible one in their friend groups. But this hyper-independence comes at a cost. They find it incredibly difficult to ask for help. Vulnerability feels like a weakness, a dangerous state that could lead to rejection. They might be the friend who's always there for you, but they'll never call you when they're the one in crisis. Their motto becomes, "I don't need anyone," a defense mechanism protecting a deeply wounded inner child who desperately did. Another profound effect is on their emotional intelligence, or rather, the lack of its development. If no one ever taught you the language of emotions, how can you be expected to be fluent? Ignored children often grow into adults who are out of touch with their own feelings. They might feel a general sense of unease or numbness, but can't pinpoint what it is. They struggle to identify, name, and manage their emotions. This is often called alexithymia. When asked, "How do you feel?" they might genuinely say, "I don't know," or they might describe physical sensations instead, like a pit in their stomach or a tightness in their chest. They never learn to connect those physical signs with the underlying emotions of anxiety, sadness, or anger. This emotional disconnect extends to their relationships with others. Because they can't understand their own feelings, they find it challenging to understand and empathize with the feelings of others. This isn't because they are cold or uncaring. It's because they were never given the tools. A partner might be upset, and they genuinely won't know why or what to do, leading to misunderstandings and feelings of being with someone who is emotionally unavailable. They are essentially replaying the dynamic of their childhood, but this time, they are in the role of the emotionally distant one. Internally, the ignored child often develops a harsh inner critic. They internalize the message that they are not worthy of attention. They believe that if their own parents couldn't find them interesting or lovable, then it must be true. This leads to chronic low self-esteem and a pervasive sense of being flawed. They might become people pleasers, desperately seeking the validation they never received. They'll go above and beyond for others, hoping that if they are useful enough or perfect enough, they will finally be worthy of love and attention. Yet, no amount of external validation can fill the internal void left by their upbringing. They might achieve great things, but they still feel like an imposter, constantly waiting to be found out. So, what happens when this child becomes an adult? The patterns continue. They might find themselves drawn to partners who are also emotionally unavailable, subconsciously recreating the familiar dynamic of their youth. They might struggle with chronic feelings of emptiness, loneliness, and depression. They may have a hard time setting boundaries because they were taught their needs don't matter. They might feel guilty for having needs at all. Their lives can look perfect on the outside, a good job, a nice home, a family. But inside, they feel a quiet, persistent ache, a sense that something fundamental is missing. But here is the most important part of this story. It is not a life sentence. The journey of healing is possible, and it starts with awareness. Recognizing that the emptiness and struggles you face are not your fault, but rather a result of what you didn't receive, is a monumental first step. It's about reparenting yourself. This means learning to tune into your own emotions. It can start small, by simply asking yourself throughout the day, "What am I feeling right now?" and allowing any answer to be okay, without judgment. Therapy can be an invaluable tool in this process. A good therapist can provide the safe, accepting space that was missing in childhood. They can act as a guide, helping you connect the dots between your past and your present, teaching you the emotional language you never learned, and helping you challenge that harsh inner critic. It's in this safe relationship that you can finally learn to be vulnerable, to ask for help, and to believe that your needs are valid. Healing also involves learning self-compassion. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a good friend. It's about forgiving yourself for not knowing how to navigate emotions perfectly. It's about recognizing that the fiercely independent survivor inside you deserves to rest and be cared for. It's a slow process of building a new foundation, one of self-worth and self-love, brick by brick. You learn to become your own secure base. If any of this resonated with you, please know you are not alone. What you went through was real, and your feelings are valid. The journey to healing the wounds of an ignored childhood is a path of rediscovery, finding the vibrant, feeling person who has been waiting to be seen all along. It's a journey from invisibility to wholeness. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and consider subscribing for more content on psychology and self-growth. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters here. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.